So she said to you that something had happened to her when she was in the room with this social worker.
That's correct. She said that she stuck a needle in her leg.
Stuck a needle in her leg?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what Hollie told me. And so
Hollie, do you recall this?
Yeah.
You remember this happening? And what happened after the needle was stuck in your leg? Did you feel different, or?
We were numb.
You went numb?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you went back to the police station?
Yes, and we sat there. We were put in a room, and they said that they would get a doctor to the premises, a police doctor, and we sat there for 2.5 hours, waiting, and waiting, and waiting, till eventually a police officer came in and said, "We can't get a police doctor, you're just going to have to go home."
So that you couldn't prove that was there a mark on her leg?
I looked, but I couldn't see anything. And we actually, I did take her to the GP. He refused to do a blood test. And I says, "Why?" And he said, "It's not necessary, it's not necessary." And I says, "Well, I would feel a lot happier if you took a blood test, But the doctor would not do it.
What do you think this might have been? What would be the aim of doing this, do you think? Would it be something like sodium pentothal, a truth drug or something?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea, but he refused to do a blood test. And he just gave us a little bottle and he says, get a urine sample. So we did, when we got home, we did that, we put it in the post, posted it off, and we were told later on that it was negative.
But this is now hours or a day or so later, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you'd had that second interview, and then what happened?
I went to a solicitor, and I wasn't happy with the way that we were treated, and then eventually I looked up for an expert, on this, and then the next thing, 10 days after that, they turned up at all these. I was actually in the flat. I was going to wait and make Hollie's lunch. And I said to her, "I'll just be a minute, I'm going out to the bin room." And when I went down to the bin room and opened the front door of the apartment building, there was about 12 people, 10 or 12 people standing there.
So you're outside your apartment now, in the
That's
street?
correct, yes.
Okay, so you see...
car park, yes.
And this is shortly after you've made these statements to the police?
10 days.
10 days after. Okay, there are 12 people outside your house.
That's correct.
Okay, what happens next?
I went to the bin room, which was around the side of the building. I came back, and it was as I was walking back, this new doctor that I'd changed to because I was in a different area, came walking towards me, and she said my name, and, "Will you please come inside?" And I says, "What's going on here?" And she says, "Will you please come inside?" And I says, "Well, I want to know what all this is about." And she said then, she says, "Well, we're here to section you." And
this is under the Mental Health Act?
Yes, that is correct. And I don't know how anyone else would react to that, but I wasn't very happy, believe you me.
I can understand
and
that.
there was some choice words.
So you said, "No thanks very much."
That's right.
Or words to that effect.
That's correct. And then 4 men, police officers, and I presumed maybe psychiatric nurses came over. I was bodily lifted. I was screaming, my head off.
And the neighbours are all watching?
Well, at this point, I was still in the car park, and Hollie she could see from the window, what was happening, And I was taken into the apartment building. I was thrown out on the concrete floor, and they took down my trousers and my pants. And I was
This is in public, though, still?
Yes. And my neighbours were, all up the stairs.
So they could see this?
They could see what was happening.
This is very dignified, isn't it?
Well, it was absolutely very embarrassing. And
well, I hope those people are ashamed of themselves.
Well, no, they were shouting, "Leave her alone, Chelsea."
Oh, I don't mean the neighbours.
No, okay. Well, I hope, yes, the people that did it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so they pulled your pants down, and then what, they put a needle in your...
I was injected, and that's the last thing I knew. And hours later, I woke up in Cornhill Hospital.
This is a hospital in Aberdeen?
That's correct.
A mental hospital?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so they've sectioned you?
Yes.
Because they think perhaps you're what, paranoid schizophrenic or
Well, I got
deluded? Or?
two versions. One person said that I was paranoid against my husband.
Well,
And I says, well, I'm trying to divorce him. I says, I think any woman who's trying to divorce a man is a bit paranoid about their husband, you know. And then from the actual psychiatrist, he said that I was paranoid schizophrenic.
okay. But you got out, didn't you, very quickly?
Yes, I did.
So
Yes.
how did you do that? Oh, and I think you should also say that what they did is give Holly back to
Our
her
father,
father.
yes. Well, they actually put Holly in care,
Yeah.
right? And while she was in care, one of the people that was in the residential place where she was actually took her in to see her father at our home.
At your previous home that
Yes,
you'd left with.
that's correct. Yes, that's right. Yes,
Okay, so, but you did manage to get out of there.
yes. While I was in there, there was all sorts of things, and I got a lawyer in, you know, right away. And the next thing was the town council. They got a lawyer in as well, you know, because I was, you know, I was a businesswoman in Aberdeen, you know, so, you know, I knew my way around sort of things. So there was also a helpline on one of these boards.
In the hospital?
In the hospital. So I phoned it and I explained what had happened to me. And she said, well, my advice to you is whatever they say, just agree with them, right? She says, because if you don't, they can hold you. I went in as a Section 24, and she says they can hold
This
you.
is Section 24 of the Mental Health Act.
That's correct.
Which says what?
3 days. They can hold you for 3 days.
Okay.
Right? She says, but if you don't comply with what they are saying, she says they can keep you in on a 28, right, which is 3 weeks. And she says if you don't comply again, she says they can keep you on an 18, which is 6 months. Okay?
Just for not agreeing with them?
That's correct.
Overpower?
That's correct.
Okay, so you agree with everything they said?
So I agreed with everything they said. And when I came out, I went to this expert lawyer down just in Falkirk, right?
Falkirk.
So Holly and I and the dogs drove down there, and she put us to a psychiatrist in Glasgow, an expert in Glasgow. And I spent the whole day with her, you know.
Being assessed for your mental health?
Being assessed for my mental health.
And what did this top psychiatrist say?
That there's nothing wrong with me. And I've got a piece of paper to prove that.
I think I might need one of those one day. Okay, so you have a bit of paper that says that you shouldn't have been sectioned.
That's right.
Now, as I understand it, later on, sometime later, you actually asked for a copy of this document sectioning you, is that correct?
That's correct.
And?
I still haven't got that. To this day,
But not only haven't you got it, my understanding is, I mean, maybe, Robert, you'd like to come in here, because you talked to me about this earlier.
Yes, indeed, indeed. What happened was that Anne's lawyer, Anne was sectioned on the 5th of September.
2000.
2000. On the 13th of October, Anne's lawyer approached the Scottish Mental Health Authority for documents relating to the sectioning, as, of course, it was suspected, strongly suspected, that the sectioning was totally unlawful.
And she's got a right to ask for these,
She's got a right to ask. The letter was dated, we have a letter, we have a copy of that letter, from the Scottish Mental Welfare Commission, dated the 1st of November 2000, less than 2 months after Anne had been sectioned, saying they had no documents whatsoever.
So they were saying that effectively she hadn't been sectioned?
In fact.
So that effectively means that she was taken off the streets illegally?
Exactly, precisely.
But yet you had been sectioned?
Yes.
So somebody has gone to the trouble of, apparently, and obviously I don't know this, but it looks like, doesn't it, that somebody's gone to the trouble of falsifying the evidence.
That's correct.
Of destroying evidence.
Yes.
And pretending it never existed.
Yes.
And the person who sectioned you, and we're not going to use any names here,
No.
you're going to tell me who that person is? Or
That
the
person
connections with what had happened?
Is the niece of a sheriff in Aberdeen.
A sheriff in Aberdeen. And the sheriff in Aberdeen was...
Holly has named him as one of her perpetrators.
Okay, well that's pretty shocking, isn't it? So, anyway, you're out of the mental hospital.
Yes.
They couldn't hold you because you were clever enough to get
Yes.
an expert opinion and
That's
to
correct.
agree with everything they said. And
Yes.
what happens next?
I start fighting to get justice for myself, you know, and my daughter.
And talking about justice, you should mention the website. I think it actually probably has come up on screen already, but it is Justice for Hollie, HOLLIE,
Yes.
.org.
Yes.
People want to go on that website. Okay, so you've been fighting, and how